How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Get Seen, Get Booked Facebook Live. And today we have a really good one for you guys. We have the Newtons Film and Photography. Specifically, we have Jonathan from this business. And what we're going to be doing is we are going to be jumping into his Facebook ads. And we're going to be basically looking at his creatives, his content, his ads, the performance, and obviously any questions that you guys have as we are going through. Jamie, how are you doing, mate?
All good, mate. All good. Looking forward to diving in.
What I'm going to do is, there's Robert. Morning. Give us a second. I'm just going to try and pull everyone into this live and let everyone know that we are live, like I do every other Wednesday. Here we go.
And if you are watching, just give it a little thumbs up. Make sure you or say hello somehow. Yeah, we've got Robert in. We've also got somebody else that's hi all. I think that's Lucian. I could be completely wrong though. But yeah, if you're here and you're watching, let us know you're watching. Give a little thumbs up or say hello.
So
and
we have Jonathan. Sorry, go for it, Jamie. I think there's a little.
I'm just saying we're going to get ready to dive into Jonathan.
Yeah, we're just going to dive. We're just going to dive straight in. So we've got Jonathan here, who's a member of the Get Seen, Get Booked Facebook group, but he's also one of our Wedding Business Accelerator members as well. And when we uploaded the Thunderdome system, even before the Wedding Business Accelerator actually got released inside of the Facebook group, Jonathan and Jess actually implemented the Thunderdome system and saw an increase in the leads that they were getting through Facebook and Instagram. So what we're going to do is just bring Jonathan on and we're going to dive into his ads. So hey Jonathan, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely great. Thanks for jumping on, mate. Really appreciate it.
No worries at all. All good.
I don't know if you just want to give people a quick overview about what you guys done and how you getting your leads and what's happening basically.
Yeah, sure. So in a nutshell, like most people from January, so last year, crazy busy. Then this year, everything went a bit quiet. Cost of living, everything went a bit mental. So we looked at it and we said, right, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to rectify this? And I'm sure it was something that you put out there, Billy, saying that all of us thought that last year was the norm. That was how everything was in the industry, and that's how it was always going to be. We all forgot that the last few years have been completely ridiculous with all the C word stuff and all the catch up. So we said, right, we need to do something about this. And then that's when this sort of fell into our laps. And we've always said, it's a load of rubbish, doesn't work. It's a load of nonsense. It's a waste of time. That never will do anything for us. And then we sat and listened. There's a 45-minute video that you put on YouTube of how to set it up. And we said, let's just look at that. Let's just see what the logic is. And we also looked at your logic of put this amount of 1,500 quid and you've managed to generate 20 grand's worth of wedding. We said, well, it must work for somebody, so let's have a go. So we took the Thunderdome system. We've been running it for, it's probably about 6 weeks now. And literally overnight, everything went from 0 to 100. So we're booking all the way through 2025 at the moment. To put some people's minds at ease, not just, low budget, cheap brides. We had a $3,000 one come in last week that was courtesy of all of this. So it does work, and hopefully we can make ours even better.
What are your prices look like? Or what's the average? What would you say is the average based on what you just said about the amount of bookings you get there? What do you think the average is? I know everyone's going to have that question in their mind.
Yeah, so we're moving it up year on year to give you a little bit more in depth. Our video, so our wedding business has been there sort of 5-6 years, playing around with different options and different sectors of the market. We're now moving everything up gradually. We introduced a photo brand beginning of last year, so 2022. So we decided that the best thing to do was to have a joint offering so that we could offer that joint package together. So typically, rough guides, video this year, average booking between 1,400 and 1,600. Photography around £1,000. And then we move that up year on year. So 2025, for instance, we've got a joint package at £3,000. And people are happy with that. People are going, yeah, that makes great sense. And that makes good logical sense. Like you guys, we've done that logic of, should you put pricing on? I know that's a massive minefield in the industry. But we went with the analogy, another wedding sort of guru said, if you went on Amazon and there wasn't a price there, you wouldn't buy anything.
Mm-hmm.
So we sort of went, okay, you've got to, if you go with that logic, at least people are going to do something. So yeah, rough guides. So that's where we're at the moment.
Awesome.
Nice.
I mean, with the pricing, I mean, I know we've done the averages and it's around about 1,500, but there's some people in the group who are charging $3,000, $5,000. I think there's even people in the group who are charging $10,000. But I think it's great to see that you managed to run the Thunderdome system and get a $3,000 wedding. Like I say, my highest package at the moment is currently $2,500. I am thinking about putting that up for 2025. I need to make that decision quickly because obviously, as you know, leads are now starting to happen for 2025. But even $2,500, it's a decent sized wedding. It's a decent package for Facebook ads. And I don't believe that there's any limit on that. It's all about how you communicate your value. So it's great to see that you're getting those leads in. I mean, Jamie, is there anything you want to jump in, or do I have any questions before we dive into Jonathan's ads? Does anyone? We've got quite a few people on live now. Does anyone have any questions, Jamie?
Just as a rolling in, and there's been quite a bit of talk about, and maybe we'll do the topic of this to go more in depth next week on the live. But there's a lot of talk around, whether Facebook ads work for high ticket, much higher ticket, like 5 to 10 grand and above sort of price tag for photography or videography services, whatever it might be. There's a load of different tactics. It's not just a case of, it's not just a case of pricing. It can be done. There's just becomes tactics to different stages because the buyer needs different touch points and needs certain problems solved for them. So you might find that if you charge 10 grand for this crazy deal that you do, but that is your price, that is your package, whatever it is, then there will be a strategy that works. It's not a case of Facebook ads don't work for businesses. It's certain strategies work and do not work. You might have to start introducing lead magnets. You might have to start doing a range of different things, but they do work. It's just a case of a strategy that you use.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we'll do is then we will dive into, do we have a question coming in? Oh, here we go. So just before we dive in and start sharing and looking at Jonathan's ads, Robert has a question. He's just saying, what was your ad process before you met Billy and Jamie, Jonathan?
In a nutshell, there wasn't one. We were paying for Hitched. We still pay for Hitched. Realistically, we will not be paying for Hitched at the end of the year. We'll be reinvesting that into Meta. We tried a couple of boost posts, tried creating our own a couple of times, and didn't do anything. Let's spend 30 quid for 2 weeks. Oh, look, that's not done anything. Oh, it's rubbish. So having that logic in, that's where it's made all the difference.
We've got another question just from Ron, and he's just saying that he's just starting out and he's shot 3 weddings. He's got 3 weddings under his belt and have other footage that I've shot when he's been working as a second shooter. Do you think I should put prices on my website? So in my opinion, Ron, I do think prices should go on websites. I just feel like if I went, and there's 2 reasons. I'm engaged. I'm probably going to get married 2025, 26. And when I start shopping around, unless there's something that I really must know this person's prices, I think I'm unlikely to contact someone if the prices aren't there, a little bit like what Jonathan said. But also from an admin perspective, I feel like you're opening yourself up to getting a lot more tire kickers and people who are just shopping around. The way I look at it is if I've got my prices on my website, if my starting price at the minute, my lowest package is $1,400. If someone absolutely has got a maximum budget of £600, they're probably not going to contact me. Where if my prices were on the website, there's a chance they're going to go at me sequence. I'm going to try and call them, send them an SMS text message. So in my opinion, I would definitely say having your prices on your website. There does seem to be a bit of a trend where, and I've done a lot of looking about for this, when I've only came across one person who I think is charging over $5,000 where I can find £5,000 on the website. Everyone else seems to have some sort of pricing brochure that they want to download. I don't know what your views on this, Jamie, but I'm definitely all for having the prices on the website.
Yeah, it's a qualifying process. And also, I think one of the things that you need, if you don't have the prices on your website, you need to be highly trained in sales, because the whole point of not putting the prices on the website is to either try and sell them for as much as you can, which you need to be very trained in sales to do, and if you're a videographer or photographer, it's probably one of the most out of your comfort zone things you can be trained in. But yeah, you need to be highly skilled in sales training in order to, in my opinion. But just for the fact of just to Billy's point there, you need, it's just a qualifying process. Like you're going to open yourself up to miles, just an absolute black hole of unqualified leads that are going to come through the process. But also that if you start running ads, you're also going to pay for those leads as well. So it's just, it's a waste of time in my eyes.
The other part that we say about it is British people as a whole, we hate talking about money. We're awful about talking about money. People find it really awkward. So in a meeting, we will always say, let's do the awkward bit and talk about money, because we have to talk about it. But people hate inquiring just to ask about money. So at least if they know it's in the ballpark of what I'm looking for, we think that's at least a good starting point to see. So you're not wasting time, and people don't want to inquire and go, "Oh God, I can't afford that." That British awkwardness kicks in, and it all becomes a bit of a mess, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of training and stuff that goes around that is from very successful. I should say as well. There's a lot of successful people in America, not just in this industry, but in loads of industries that'll push that British people will take training on. But the the concepts that they use and what's the word I'm looking for? The culture is totally different.
Yeah, the market's totally different.
Yeah, the culture is, you can't use the same things that they use just because of the culture. And you'll often, you can always tell when a salesperson is trained on an American training program, because they'll say things that don't make, like, it'll make you say, like, what are you talking, like, you just turn around and be like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you saying that? That's not something that you naturally would say. And it just comes out of the mouth in the wrong way. So you gotta make sure the culture fits.
Just another question here. I think it's from Ron, and you can answer this one, Jonathan, if you don't mind, because I've never actually personally used Hitch. I'm actually, so funny enough, I'll give you my perspective of Hitch at the minute. I've had a million phone calls from Hitch. I've spoken to them before. I've never ever signed up. I'm on the free version. I think in total I've probably between 10, I'll have to count, between 10 and 15 inquiries from Hitch. And I have never once managed to speak to anyone who's come through. That's out of 10 to 15, where normally I would have a 30% conversion rate, never mind getting people on the phone or on Zoom. So I don't know what your perspective is, Jonathan, on Hitch. I know you've used it.
To basically summarize it for us, I would say no. I'd say your money's better put into ads. When we started with Hitch, to not make it a really long, boring story, we used to pay £75 a month, and that gave us coverage for pretty much all of England and Wales. So you've got coverage in every county. They do it by counties and regions. We're paying something like £240 a month at the moment. And the conversion rate from 75 down to that is fallen through the floor. It's changed hands. They've been bought out by a bigger company. So in a nutshell, no. Potentially, if you wanted to look and go, right, really, really small, I want one region. But then the money that you'd be spending on that, I think realistically would be better spent elsewhere.
Also, I think for me,
free one doesn't do anything either. I would also add, as Billy's hit the nail on the head with that, if you've got a free ad, then they just hide it right at the bottom away from everything else.
That for me, it's the two reasons is that it's complete. Your success is completely out of your control. All you do is pay them to, and you can't do anything about it. You've just got to keep paying them money and hope and wait for things to happen. You can't take any further action. The other thing is you get tied into contracts. Like you're tied into, I mean, how long are they, like yearly contracts?
Yearly renewal. So
it's a yearly renewal. With Facebook ads, there's literally an off and on button. You can spend as much as you want, and when you want to stop spending money, you click the button to turn it off. And then also the next ad that you do, based on the data and based on what you see happening, the results, the metrics, you can make the next £5 that you spend much better and more efficient than the last £5 that you spent, and you can't do that with Hitched.
Yeah,
just a couple of people are backing up exactly what you're saying there. So Hitch is hopeless, same as Bridebrook. Nick's also saying, Ron, that it's not worth paying for it. Yep, seems that way. And then just another question, which is for you, Jonathan. It's from Robert. Just before we dive in, like I said, get your questions in. We're happy to go through the questions. We can also answer them whilst we're going through Jonathan's ads as well. But Robert's just saying, so for creating your first Facebook Thunderdome method ad, how long was it before you got your first lead and then your first sale?
So first lead was, so we did it, I think it was a Sunday night. First inquiry came through the next day. And then from that, so we've had about, since we set this up, we've had about, I think from our Studio Ninja, about 65, 70 leads through the website.
Wow. What was it like beforehand, before you switched the ads on?
Yeah, at this point in the year, very little. From January, maybe 4 or 5 bookings, so not an awful lot. So yeah, massive change. And that since to having a booking maybe a week. So yeah, really quick turnaround from what was to what is. The other one I'd add to the list while we're talking about companies who are bothering us, I'm being hounded by UK Bride at the moment.
Me too.
And I'm being very polite, and I keep saying no, thank you, we're not interested, and that upsets them. So feel free to just say no, thank you.
Out of the 65 leads, how many sales do you think you've managed to achieve?
I think off the top of my head, I think it's about 8 or 9 that we've converted.
Awesome. That's absolutely amazing. Well done, by the way. That's brilliant for actually not doing Facebook ads before, just following our YouTube video and doing it. It's great, and there's much more to it than that, which we're obviously going to get into with you in the Wedding Business Accelerator. And there's just a question from Nick. He's just asking how long you've been running your ads for.
So I don't know if you're sharing that screen yet, Jamie, or not, are you?
No, I'm just making sure I've got access.
So the 23rd of May was when we started everything. So we were going to review it after a month. We're also a little bit scared to turn it off because we don't want to literally, you use the analogy of turning the tap on and off. Yeah. So if we turn it off, then everything will just stop. So we are working on new ads in the background.
Great.
We'll hopefully launch next week. But yeah, it's been on since the 23rd of May. But you'll see all that summary when we jump on the ad.
Well, should we jump in now, Jamie? It's probably a good bridge, isn't it, into the actual ad. So let me just turn that banner off. All this fancy tech that we use there. Where is it?
Right, I'm jumping on my other computer so I can see the feed as well, so I can see what's going on.
No worries. Do you want that screen
this way?
Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah.
It's about the max we can do. So this ad, how many total leads has this brought in? Did you say this campaign?
So we've had 65 into our Studio Ninja, and that's people going through the website and inquiring.
And that is obviously not directly from the ad, but that is
we've
there was a pixel issue.
Yeah, we've got a pixel challenge that me and Billy fixed yesterday.
Okay.
Basically, just to give everyone an insight of what's happening here is that if you don't have your Facebook pixel set up correctly, the Facebook ad cannot always track where the ads are coming from. So if you do not have the lead event firing on your thank you page after someone has completed your contact form, Facebook cannot always attribute the actual ad, the actual lead directly to the ad. That's why we're only seeing 5 on there, because we've only just recently fixed the lead issue, which is all working now. But also as well, when you are running Facebook ads, sometimes people might not go the exact route that you want them to go. They might want to go and check you out first. So they might see the ad, they might go to your page, they might go to Instagram, they might check your YouTube, then they might go to your website, then they fill in the form. Sometimes they might send you a DM. So if your most important thing here, if you don't have your Facebook pixel set up correctly, it's super important that you do.
And is the other thing to mention here, just before we get going, that I've been running this accidentally through my personal, not through the business one. Is that a good thing while people are setting stuff up?
Yeah. Always run it through. If you can, set up a business manager, create an ad account through your business manager and the pixel in the business manager, just so that you've got everything protected inside of a business. And then hopefully you've got either somebody else that can be inside of your business manager as well, because if, for example, your account gets taken down or something like that, if you're using a personal one, it means that everything attached to your personal one gets taken, like your ad account and stuff like that. But if it's inside the business manager and your personal account, like Facebook account, is restricted from advertising, then anybody else that can access that business manager can still run the ads for you. So that's always a good insight to have.
Were you just saying there, Jonathan, did you relaunch this ad from the new account, the new business manager, the new account that you set up, or has it always been from this one?
Always been from this one. So the next one we do will go
Be in the new one.
through the new one, through the business one.
Great.
So we've got to, obviously this is incorrect, but even a lot of people aren't still getting a price of £85 a lead. What is your sort of price that you need to be aiming for? What is your goal price, cost per lead? I know this isn't the true cost per lead because of your pixel issue, but
we're quite happy if it's sort of £150 a lead. That sits okay for us.
Right, so it's still doing
obviously
good.
when we're moving our price up, we're also quite comfortable if it's a little bit more than that in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's obviously once the pixels all settle down on the new one, then that might be a bit clearer.
Yeah. And nice that we've got the nice and easy to read because we got the Wedding Business Accelerator column set up. So we can see we've got in here your leads are good, amount spent 430. CPM is looking good. Frequency is over 2. It's 2.23. So that's getting a little bit high, but having said that, the lead cost is fine, so we don't worry about it. Click-through rate is fine. Attention, thumb stop, which wants to be about 20 to 25%, although we'll break that down in a second. So we'll go and we'll break that down individually.
Is that potentially because it's been running for a little while?
We'll see. We'll be able to have a look at that. But as we get, so your landing page, so you're converting people at 3%, which isn't actually that bad. Well, obviously, the higher that is, the cheaper your leads are going to be. If that is just the conversion rate of your site, then you've got your site will have a certain conversion rate this year. So another way to improve the landing page leads percentage, another way to improve your lead cost is basically if you get a higher click-through rate and then you get more people converting at this percentage, and also a lower CPM. But a lower CPM isn't directly actionable. But let's break down this here. So how many videos and stuff do you have inside this dynamic creative?
So there's a variation of, there's some video and there's some photos, there's some still ones in there as well. This is the point where I confess that my wife deals with the majority of all of this.
You won't be shifting the blame because we're on a live call. Come on now.
I'm not passing the blame. I'm passing the compliments over. She's got her head really screwed on with how this all works and how it all looks. But she'll be really interested to hear what's sitting well and where we can also work. I know in another chat the other day we were talking about for photographers versus video. So it'll also be interesting to see how those stills are working in comparison to the video.
I think those two images, Jamie, are being taken into consideration on the scroll stop, on the thumb stop at 15%.
Yes, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's why I brought it down. So we can see here. So for anybody that's not aware, this is a Thunderdome setup, which means that it is a dynamic creative ad set. So when we come down to here, we've got dynamic creative checked on. It means that you can add multiple images, multiple pieces of copy. So we can see here, if we wanted to, we can add another text option and multiple headlines. And what we've got here is I believe we've got 2 videos and 2 images. And it's showing, for one, it's showing 2 of them twice for different placements. And we can basically see the individual metrics for each one. Now, percentages wise, we need to come back and see what the amount spent on each one is. So we can see that out of 428, we're looking at £157 of that, which is the highest majority, has went to this. So we can see that's a nice little Instagram reel.
Just one of the questions there was from what do the ads look like in terms of content? I'm just saying this is it now that we're going through.
Yeah. Is this a good time just to remind people how they can jump on and look at people's ads if they want to?
Yeah, so there's I can post this link in the group. So there's something called the Facebook ads library. So anyone who has ads that are actually live and active, you can go to just Google the Facebook ads library, type in the company name, and you can actually look at any creatives. One thing to note though is, and Jamie was talking about this with one of our WBA members this morning, is that you can't tell if an ad is performing good or not by the ads library. You can just see the actual ad and the copy itself. It's great for getting ideas and inspiration. Sometimes an indication, if an ad's been left on for a long time, that the performance is good, but that could also indicate that someone's run an ad, forgot about it, and they've got a really small amount on it where it's kind of negligible for them, and they're not bothered about the money that they're losing on there. So just be careful when you run the ads library. It's a great tool for inspiration, for copy, for creatives, but it doesn't give you indication of performance.
Yeah. So just coming back to this, we can see this has had the majority of the. It's got the highest majority of spend, 150 out of 157 out of 428. That was about 35% ish. And what we do when we want to look at the individual metrics is organized by spend, because spend is also an indicator of. Is the best indicator of future performance. So Facebook is spending on this element because it is bringing in the best results, which we can see here that it is, and also it means that it feels like it can continue to get those results. So when I say best results, some people will look at this and say, well, this one has got £42 per lead, but then that's £52. So this one is obviously better. But the reason it's not better is because although it's got a cheaper cost per lead, Facebook is struggling to find more leads for that kind of price or similar. So it is not spending, it is spending higher on here. Now, a couple of years ago, when the algorithm was different, people would say that, the algorithm's spending incorrectly, let's separate everything out and all that kind of stuff. The algorithm has changed. The algorithm is unbelievably smart now. It's also interesting to note that this one with the leads is an image. So is this one here? Nice shot of a hand with the ring, which is very good. So now what we want to do is look at frequency. So we can see here the frequency is how often somebody is delivered a creative. Now these creatives here, we can see that this image is over 2. It's got the highest frequency. So it means that it is basically using this image as the retargeting ad of this bundle of creatives, if you like. It is showing it the most times because it feels like once they've seen everything else, they can, that has got the best chance of getting them. That's basically the reminder creative. And we can see that the others are lower than that. We can still see that even on here, 85% of the people that have seen this have seen it twice. But it's continuing to scale here. So we can see good. It's got the highest. Is that the highest? It's not the highest click-through rate, but it is if we look at 1% and 2% at the bottom here, how much did I spend? Hardly any spend on them at all. So not worth much credit there. Traffic loss is much higher than we'd really like to see, although that is a weighted average. So we can see down here, these clicks here have basically lost all of the traffic, which is kind of weighted out the average amongst these.
Can you explain why that's important, Jamie, or what's happening on a traffic loss?
So basically it is counting. We can see the calculation for this. It is link clicks minus line divided by link clicks. We're basically calculating the percentage of people that didn't. Did everybody else's screen just load there?
Yeah, it froze there. You got up a bit calculating what it was.
Okay, so what it is we're calculating the loss of traffic. So the percentage of people that clicked the link but didn't make it to a landing page. And here we've got 50 as weighted average by these. We want a maximum of 30% here. We can see 51. So we want to double check that the link is loading properly. If it does load properly, it's likely that it could be just a server drop or a reporting issue. Basically, a landing page view is reported by a page view event by the Facebook pixel. If people have opted out of tracking, it will not report that back, and it can be it can report a somewhat of a false metric here. But again, this is just a guiding metric, so it's always good to keep that in check. And we can see, again, this is going to be one of the reasons why it is serving this so many times, because it knows that the people that view this ad have got a much higher percentage, have got a much higher likelihood of achieving your goal, which is to become a lead. So you can see there's a reason that the frequency is higher for this image, because it knows that people convert at the highest rates here. That makes sense.
So if I was looking at, obviously I am looking at this ad, but if I was looking at changing it, the bottom two that are causing all of that traffic loss and are also two of the lesser performing ones, if I was just going to keep this ad running as it is, would I be better just taking those out of it altogether?
No, so what you were the way to scale this is to basically come up with another concept. So that's something that we're going to get into now. Every ad set should have its own concept. And I think just by looking, and it's a very, very common sort of, not even really a mistake, but a common thing to do is to just like bundle a bunch together and try to see what works. So if we've got here, I believe that was the winning creative. This one starts with the hand. Yeah, so that one starts with the hands. So, and you'll be able to see here that if you want to, inside of feeds where it's cropped, it's always good to take a look at this. Inside of feeds when it's cropped, it's a little bit difficult to see and it moves a little bit fast. That's probably why it's not doing as well. But basically, the concept here is just a bunch of different images and videos. So the best thing you can do is organize by concept. So what I would do from here is basically take this post ID, and this is the way that the Thunderdome is set up for those that aren't familiar. What we do is, in this instance, we only have one piece of copy, which is here, which is the text on the ad, this bit here, and one headline. Now, the copy and the headline, we'll not get into those just yet as far as improvements and stuff like that. I mean, they don't look bad at all. But basically, what we recommend, generally speaking, is a 3-2-2 method, which means 3 creatives, 2 pieces of copy, and 2 headlines. Now, depending on your test, you can vary that down slightly. You can do 2 creatives and 2 pieces of copy and 1 headline, or but 3-2-2 is the maximum that you want to do, because that means that you have 12 ad combinations. So it's 3 times 2 times 2. And what that's gonna do is Facebook is gonna put all of those together and serve whichever one it feels like is gonna get the best based on its trillions of data points. It's gonna create the best ads and see which one has the best chance of getting results. Now, the way that we find the combination of the best is to do this when we come to Facebook post with comments. And it will show, it's going to show us here what it feels like is, hold on a second, stop sharing. Can you see that? Oh no, I think that's just on my screen. What we'll see here is it's going to show us what it feels like is the best post ID, which is basically the best combination of things that is going to get the most, it has the best estimated action rate and the best chance of long-term results. Now, sometimes it can, it gives, depending on spend, it gives sometimes not the greatest kind of result. So, for example, if you want to find like this, it showed us the image here, for example, and the data would clearly state that it is spending much more on a different creative. Then you can always come down and find the best. In fact, actually, that's what it's done here. It's give us the holding hands one first, and then give us what the data is saying as the best performing one second here. So what we can do is we can take both post IDs if we wanted to and put them into a post ID ad set. Now, what that means is that when we come back to here, it's the next part of the Thunderdome. Inside of this one campaign, we would create a new ad set and we would turn the dynamic creative ad set off. In fact, I'm not going to launch anything. I'm just going to go through for everybody watching.
Yeah, you're fine.
We would turn this off here because this is the duplicate, yeah. And then we would say, let's just call this post IDs so we know. And we come to here and we'd say, okay, use existing post. And then what we do is we click the timestamp here to single this out. I'm just going to pause that. We're going to click the timestamp a second time to try and get us into the regular Facebook. It's not moving, so I'm going to come to the URL. And we'll see on the end, we've got videos here, and then the number after videos. Now, this is going to... It used to be that this would be the post ID, but this is going to give us... This is going to help us find the post ID. Now, if this doesn't work, which Facebook is temperamental about... Well, that's definitely not it.
You want me to try and copy it from my end?
No, I've got it. I'm sure I've got it. Yeah, where is it? It's because I pressed copy on my... I pressed on my keyboard, so just copy into my machine. We paste it here. It's probably going to say it's not going to work. No, so what we do in order to find it, if you ever bump into this, is open this up, bang it into here, press enter, and then it will say, did you mean this one? And because this takes ages to load, when we go through it, we're just going to copy it and then come back out. Paste it in. Check mark. And boom, we have the winning post ID. And then what it's going to do is it's going to serve this as an ad. And we always put the post ID in the name of the ad so that whenever we want to search for it, we can find it easily inside of Ads Manager.
So Jamie, can I jump in here a second? So just in case anyone's like thinking, oh my God, I'm a bit overwhelmed, like because obviously when we're going through this, it's like, it does look, if you've never seen this before, you might be thinking, oh God, what am I looking at? And when you're talking about concepts and things, but don't worry, that's why we created the video in the group that you can go through, because you can, all of the steps that Jamie's just gone through here, you can obviously pause this video and replay it, or there's also the Thunderdome video on YouTube and in the Facebook group. But what we do is, what Jamie was explaining there is, obviously Jonathan and Jess have set up this ad and they've kind of bundled a couple of different concepts together. And when we're talking about you should only have one concept at a time, what we mean by a concept is like the dad first look, the dad first reveal, that's a concept. The couple walking down the aisle, that's a concept. Confetti shot is a concept, yeah. Confetti is a concept, all of that. And then what we do inside of the Thunderdome method, inside of that one concept, we'll have a confetti shot, but there might be 3 variations of confetti shots inside of there. So we can find out which one is the best one. And then what happens is, once we find the best one, which is we class as the winning ad, we then promote that ad to what Jamie's just created there, where you add the post ID to what we call like the winning campaign. And if for a bit of
the winning ad set, not the campaign.
Yeah, the ad set. Sorry, so the winning ad set. Anyone who likes football or any sporting analogy, it's a little bit like a knockout tournament. All of the winners go into this new ad set, and then we introduce a new concept which will play against this one. Once we find the new winners, it goes into the winners. And what we're doing is we're constantly testing new concepts against the winning concepts. And that way we're leveraging and optimizing the Facebook algorithm to always find the best ads that we're serving and get them out to people.
And also, because a really important point here for everybody, especially people starting out new, I know somebody commented earlier about being starting out. What this does is that if we go back here and say that we've got a £85 cost per lead, because the budget is set at the campaign level and these ad sets don't have their individual budgets, it's set at the campaign level. What we're doing is basically, when we use and promote something to the evergreen and we get a baseline cost per lead, the campaign system is set up to say that only spend money on new concepts if you can get a better cost per lead than what we're getting right now. So it's constantly set to be on improvement. It is constantly organized and set up in a way that will continuously look for cheaper leads. And although it's always set up to do that, this means it's a baseline. So it means that if you introduce a new concept and it can't get cheaper than £85 leads, it won't spend much, if any, money on it. It will just continue to spend the majority of the money on what the scalable asset that will be able to spend the most and keep the cost per lead the lowest whilst continuing to spend. And oftentimes we'll introduce for customers and stuff. We've spent well over $1 million on this concept just for one customer in particular. Just not this concept, on this tactic, this Thunderdome method.
Strategy.
The strategy. And we've got we've got certain concepts that don't spend much at all. They might spend, $20, $30, $50 a day, but the campaign itself has a $3,500 per day budget. But if we look over the last 30 days, that ad is picking up, leads. It might only spend, where in the last 30 days, where the whole campaign spent tens of thousands, this particular ad has spent maybe 1,000, but it has got, a $50 leads, or, much cheaper than we are aiming for. So there's a lot of times it might not gain spend, but it doesn't mean that you should turn it off.
And kind of like a next step, Jonathan, as well, and obviously we'll get inside of this into the wedding, when we're in the Wedding Business Accelerator training, but even just everyone watching, the reason that the different concepts are so important is because not only does it allow you to have all of your content organized and ready for your own organic socials, you've then got all of your ads already ready to go. So once an ad starts to fatigue, the performance does dip, because that always happens. Ad performance can dip. So that's why you've got to have new concepts all of the time. If you get all of your content organized, edited, and ready to go, and this is the same for photographers as well. It's not just videographers. Having that there and ready, it means that you can just implement it when you need to introduce a new concept into your ad set, into the campaigns you're running.
Mm-hmm. And it's worth noting as well that your creative, so your your image or video of the ad, is the biggest lever that you can pull. So every time you introduce a new concept, you don't have to change the ad copy and the headline. You can just keep what's working and just test new creatives, because they are the biggest lever you can pull. Your copy and your headline are very, very important, but the biggest lever to grab attention first is the image of the video, because people, so when we say attention, and this is an important thing for like posting Reels content and TikTok content, before an attention span, like there's a lot of people say, like, people have got low attention spans now, but people don't really have low attention spans, because people will they'll binge watch Netflix for 3 hours or a week or whatever it is. So they don't have low attention span. They've just got a much lower consideration span. So before you give something your attention, you've got to consider whether or not you will. So that's like the consideration span. And that first frame, or that your image, the first frame of your video, weighs heavily into the consideration span. Like, is this for me? Is this something that is directly related to me, or can it potentially help me solve a problem?
And I think getting organized with your creatives is important, because I know how easy it is just to think, oh, I've already got this show reel edited, I'm just going to put that on me social channels. But get organized, everyone who's watching, get organized with your concepts, get them edited. But not only that, you can use it for your ads. And we've talked about this social media shareable viral package. You can offer this once you do all these separate edits of confetti walking down the aisle, dad's first look, the groom crying and getting upset when she's coming down the aisle. All this is stuff that you can sell. You can sell this as an add-on, as a social media package, so the bride and groom can then put it on their own social channels. So you're killing two birds with one stone. Yeah, you're basically you're basically creating content that you need for your own marketing, for your own ads, but then this is something that you can sell to the couples, and you can use that towards your ad spend, and you're basically getting paid to edit your own marketing. It's and we're in the perfect industry here, because one of the biggest issues that me and Jamie run into running a social media ads agency is trying to get creatives, but not only that, trying to get good creatives from companies that we're running ads for. Well, wedding videographers and photographers, our whole industry is about the creatives, but all we need to do is kind of edit it in a social way, how people can consume it on social media. So I feel like the wedding industry is in like a really good place to really leverage and optimize social media.
Yeah, such a launch pad. You're ready to rock and roll. But before we jump on anything else, I just want to quickly, whilst this is still in everyone's minds, just like jump onto the recommendations, if you like, or next steps. I'm just trying to find a good way to put us. There you go. So what I would do here is we've got your ad set here. So basically, and if you remember when we broke this down, this video was the video with the most spend, which is this one, and the cheapest leads, this one. This is getting £52 leads. Obviously, there's no copy or headline variation, so this ad in itself is getting leads for that price. So we've put that into this post ID ad set. So now what I recommend doing is finding or creating another concept. You edit another concept together. You can literally just duplicate this ad set and then just change the creative, because you don't need to change the copy and the headline. So get another concept, whether that be a dad reveal, whatever it might be, the first dance, the first walk, whatever it is, and then run that against this post ID. And because this is getting £52.44 leads, you'll find that it will get something very similar to that. But make sure that you launch both this post ID and the new concept together. Don't continue to run this ad set and also run this post ID, because the ad is existing in two places and basically fighting itself. So yeah, that will be the next recommend. That's the next thing for you to do. But you're off to a good start there, a really good start, especially if your pixel's only just been fixed, and that is bringing in some really good leads. The trouble that you will run into is that because you have a pixel error, the algorithm knows if the actual truth behind whether or not those other ads are bringing in leads. So you got to kind of trust what it's saying right now, which is fine because it's had enough spend really to, it's got you a few leads there. I'd probably be inclined to this maximum. I would bring that out of there and then launch the new concept and have them running together. That would be the next steps for you.
Perfect.
There's just a couple of questions, so we'll jump onto them. So Robert is just saying, so the video that you played, what hook line did you use, if any? Was it on the video or the description? I don't think there was any text on the video. I think it was...
it was just like a really fat... And actually, it's a really good point to bring up, Robert, as well, because it was a really well-edited video. It's for social. So one of the things that we... And this is going to touch on some good points to help edit for social, because one of the biggest problems that the videographers have got is that they get in their own way, and photographers too, but you get in your own way because your art is these videos and stuff. Your skill is 9 times out of 10, you're so good at it that you let it get in the way of social stuff. People don't want to see when they're scrolling social media. They're not in the mindset to watch a 5-minute wedding video or anything like that. They want to see quick, and the consideration and attention span's low. But if we notice this, these are fast edited clips. So we've got about a 2-second maximum of each one, which is perfect. And every time it cuts to something else, we call that an attention reset. So it holds people's attention. It keeps them watching.
And if you go and have a look like on a social media platform like TikTok, you'll notice that not all of them, but majority of videos that have really high views and likes and comments have got a lot of attention resets in there. There's loads of different ways you can do it, by adding text, have things pop up. Obviously, we wouldn't do that necessarily on a wedding video, but by changing the clip, it keeps people engaged because, what's happening now? And it keeps people engaged without them even realizing what's happening. They're just engaged because there's something new happening all of the time. Another question is just, so as a starting point, how many concepts should we have ready to go before we launch ads? I mean, the way I edit my weddings and I do the social media package anyway, Robert, I've got me concepts. I've got like 9 or 10 different concepts from a wedding just sitting there ready to go. But Jamie, do you want to touch on how many you just launched to begin with? Would you start with 1 and then have a second one ready? Or would you have 3 ready just in case?
Yeah, it depends on your aim. It depends on... I would always have as many as you can ready. I would have at least 2, just because if you start with 2 concepts running against each other, it means that you kind of, leveraging, not leveraging, but you're kind of protecting yourself from, if you run with 1 and the concept is just a dull concept that won't work regardless, then you're kind of left with nothing to do. Almost, you're kind of left stuck. But where if you run two concepts against each other, I mean, that's obviously not the case for Jonathan here. It's done really well. But if you have two concepts that run against each other, you are also going to get directional insight. So let's say we ran confetti concept versus a dad reveal. Let's say the confetti did super well. Then my next idea that I'm going to do, you could either try to create a totally new concept, which is a little bit more riskier because you don't know if it's going to work. But you could go through every wedding that you've ever shot and find all of the confettis and then start running different variations because we know that concept works. And now what we're doing is finding different shots that might get that might make a better video, grab more attention on the feeds, and drive that lead cost down even further.
My ads at the moment, I've got 4, excluding the retarget one, the actual Thunderdome system that we've got running on mine. I've got 4 ads running, but it's from 2 concepts. I've got 2 different dad first reveal looks in there, and I've also got 2 where different couples from different weddings are walking outside. And the reason that is because they both were working. So I wanted to test a new iteration from a different wedding on both of them. But I'm about to launch into that a complete new concept altogether. I'm about to introduce a confetti concept in there. And then what happens is Facebook will then challenge the new confetti concept against the winning concepts that I've already got running. There's a good question here, though, which leads into this from Leanne. And Leanne's just saying, and this is an excellent question, by the way, for everyone to just think about is how often would you let your ads run before evaluating their success? And how often would you then suggest creating new concepts and then testing them?
So before evaluating the success, they need to spend at least 2 times your goal cost per lead. And this is why it's another reason it's really important to figure out your numbers and know your numbers. If you don't know what your goal cost per lead is and you don't know what success looks like, and you must be able to know what success looks like in order to achieve it. Like you can't, there's, for example, we run into the problem all the time. We coach at the marketing professionals and marketing agencies when running ads. And one of the biggest issues that they have when they're trying to find leads for clients is that they don't have a set cost per lead. So oftentimes the client will just be having a bad month where they aren't converting the leads, and they'll turn around and be like, well, it's the Facebook ads are bringing bad leads in. Like it's not the case. You need to know what success looks like, and you need to know your numbers. So your cost per lead should be based on how many leads can you convert into paying customers. That will give you a percentage, and then you can reverse engineer the cost that way. So yeah, you want to figure out your goal cost per lead. You want to spend at least 2 times the goal cost per lead. If you are running dynamic like this, I would be looking to spend 3 to 5 times your goal cost per lead on the actual Thunderdome concept, because there'll be different variations inside of there. But yeah, that's before evaluating success. They need to have a good amount of spend, but also when running Thunderdome concept, it needs to be able to figure out where to put that spend.
And when you're running your ads as well, one thing that you must bear in mind, and this is a bit of a mindset shift with everyone, is, and it's when Jamie's talking about, companies that we work with say, the Facebook ads are bringing in bad leads. Remember, it's not the job of the Facebook ad or your Instagram ads or any ads that you're running to actually sell your wedding services. So if you're a wedding photographer, wedding videographer, the job of the ad is not to sell those services. It's about getting them interested in you as a wedding videographer or wedding photographer. So then they want to click to learn more about you. Because remember, when they're scrolling on social media, they're not in the mental state of, I'm looking for a wedding videographer or a wedding photographer. That's not the reason why they've gone on Facebook. They've gone on Facebook because they're bored and they're just scrolling and they want to check out what their friends and family are doing. Or then all of a sudden, they've seen this ad of a couple holding hands or a dad reveal. They know they're getting married, and that little short clip has really piqued their interest and curiosity. And then they'll be like, oh, do you know what? I'll learn more about this person. They might click, and then what might happen is something might happen. The kids might shout, something might happen on the TV, they might get distracted. Then what happens? They might not have filled in your form. But this is where the Thunderdome method that we run, the Thunderdome system will then start to serve that person maybe a different ad, which is inside a new concept that you've got running inside of there. So that's how when Jamie was breaking down the creatives and they all had different metrics, it's because Facebook is serving them at different times. So it's kind of automatically retargeting people and showing people different creatives when they log back on. So just remember, it's not the job of the ads to sell your product. It's just about getting them interested. So they go to your website, they watch your full wedding films, they look at your full photography portfolio albums, then they fill in your contact form to learn more. Then it's your sales process that you've got after that, your email sequences, your follow-up sequences, how good you are on the phone, how on Zoom, objection handling. It's all of that that's going to do the selling and convert that lead into an actual booking. Do we have any other questions? I know we've been on for nearly an hour, which is great. Like always, we're always happy to stay on. I mean, Jonathan, just while we're waiting for any questions to come in, I mean, is there anything that you want to add that we haven't talked about, or for your next steps? Have you got any ideas about what you're going to introduce next for your next concept?
I think we're as a whole, we're really happy with how the ad has gone and how it's been working. Our next steps, we're going to create some new content, very similar sort of vibes to what we've already made, to then compete one against the other. I've just edited a wedding together that's got a brilliant dad reveal in it where he just bursts into tears. So it's perfect. That will be going in there as something to test out as well. But yeah, we're really happy with how it's gone and how it started, and we're now excited is the main thing to see how that progresses further. So yeah, thanks guys, really appreciate.
Yeah, well,
you've done.
Obviously you're a part of the Wedding Business Accelerator, so you got support and coaching from us every step of the way inside of that group. But yeah, we're excited to see. We'll update the guys inside of the Get Seen Get Booked group in here with how you get on for sure, and keep them updated with the progress. And if anybody watching does have any questions, then just post them in the group and we'll get back to you.
And anyone watching this on a replay, make sure you just do #replay, but tag me or Jamie, because just to make sure that we do get any questions. And if any questions pop into your head after this live about ads, concepts, creatives, whatever it is, just post inside of the Get Seen Get Booked Facebook group. The reason we set this group up, the free group, is just to totally help you guys, and we're happy to answer your questions. So get active inside of the group. Show us your concepts, show us your creatives, copy, hooks, headlines, whatever it is, and we're going to review them. But Jonathan, thank you so much for your time and jumping on. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on there. And thanks for everyone for watching. And we're going to be live again next Wednesday at 12 o'clock. So we'll see everyone then. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.